Thiel Society sponsors anti-gravity spacecraft R&D. The historic roots of the first secret space program and its genesis can be traced back to the early years of the Weimar Republic. At the end of the First World War in 1919, a number of German secret societies began collaborating in the development of flying saucer prototypes based on the designs received through the telepathic communications of an unusually beautiful and highly skilled psychic medium, Maria Orsic. When in a full trance state, she claimed to be in communication with a range of otherworldly beings. Among those were a group of Aryan or Nordic-looking extraterrestrials from the Aldebaran star system who wanted to assist humanity to develop spacecraft capable of interstellar flight. Orsic reported their intention, and such an endeavor would raise human consciousness and accelerate humanity's evolution as a species in the galactic community. Using automatic writing, Orsic wrote numerous pages of what appeared to be technical information in 2 foreign languages, though she did not recognize one language at all. Another prominent psychic, Sigrun, assisted in understanding the content of the writing by getting clear mental images of a flying saucer craft. Orsic and Sigrun concluded that the information revealed how to build a spaceship. Mori. Jess CNR. A fag wanta si tau go ti kara cow I arb 10 ta m daemon. I kavruan sita. Elana nian Kate fora ia out at oip wm hin cra raza adt bile tht cal, though I saw plus 2 pad tananika de / ta savanin. Ta star oma imek tendaya rt1 fn po de my po prio uwr pano, plus 7 omultarts, v plus tinud, / of bafarda 4 seed 0 area pope 4, Shiva. Kelfita cc heels vp 99 yev taive, ala rca samafa fatal rup wrt bike / of ord 2. Li, warta pptr. Evita yeaf ko, ala saves pala. Ana eo 1 pu jisr rs sa ki, adasmel and se may ks, was 04, figure 2. Automatic writing by Maria Orsic containing Sumerian and Templar languages. Soon after, Orsic and Sigrun met with members from the Thiel Society, Thielgesellschaft, which after the First World War had become Germany's most powerful secret society, notably comprised of aristocrats and leading occultists of the day. They were able to identify the second unknown language in the automatic writing as Ancient Sumerian. Experts were brought in to translate Orsic's automatic writing. The translation confirmed Sigrun's mental images. It was in fact technical instructions for building a revolutionary type of engine that could power a spacecraft. Orsic and supportive Thiel Society members arranged for various scientists to look at the translated information to determine whether it was scientifically feasible. Orsic was enthusiastically supported by the Thiel Society due to its members' belief in the existence of an advanced far northern, now subterranean, civilization described in Greek and Roman legends as Hyperborea, whose ancient capital was Ultima Thule. In a preserved fragment by the Greek historian Diodorus Siculus, 1st century BC, he writes about this ancient civilization. Now for our part, since we have seen fit to make mention of the regions of Asia which lie to the north, we feel that it will not be foreign to our purpose to discuss the legendary accounts of the Hyperboreans. Of those who have written about the ancient myths, Hecataeus and certain others say that in the regions beyond the land of the Celts there lies in the ocean an island no smaller than Sicily. This island, the account continues, is situated in the north and is inhabited by the Hyperboreans, who are called by that name because their home is beyond the point whence the north wind, Boreas, blows, and the island is both fertile and productive of every crop, and since it has an unusually temperate climate it produces 2 harvests each year. And the kings of this city and the supervisors of the sacred precinct are called Boreadae, since they are descendants of Boreas, and the succession to these positions is always kept in their family. The Boreadae were purported to be giant kings, around 10 feet tall by classical scholars. Thiel Society members believe that the Hyperboreans were the progenitors of the Aryan Germanic race, and they exist to this present day, hidden away in the Earth's interior. James and Suzanne Poole, authors of Who Financed Hitler, describe the powerful aristocratic members who financed and belonged to the Thiel Society. Outwardly, this mysterious group passed as a literary circle devoted to studying ancient German history and customs. The Munich branch had been financed during the war by a Baron Rudolf von Siebaden-Norf, a shadowy individual who enlisted over 250 members from the city and 1,500 throughout Bavaria. The significance of the membership, however, was not to be found in its quantity but its quality. Among the group's members were lawyers, judges, university professors, police officials, aristocratic members of the royal entourage of the Wittelsbachs, leading industrialists, surgeons, physicians, scientists, as well as rich businessmen like the proprietor of the elegant Four Seasons Hotel in Munich where the society had its headquarters. It is claimed that as early as 1917, Orsic met with Sabotendorf and 3 other Thule Society members in Vienna to discuss occult matters associated with her telepathic communications. Based on the enthusiastic support she received, Orsic subsequently moved to Munich in 1919 to work with Sabotendorf and the Thule Society. Thule Society leaders believed Orsic, and others like her, would offer important clues to understand a mysterious force called Frill, a force that could be harnessed by individuals with sufficiently developed mental and psychic abilities. Such beliefs were very common among occult groups and secret societies in other nations as well, as exemplified in Edward Bulwer-Lytton's 1871 book, Frill, The Coming Race. The novel centers on a young, independently wealthy traveler, the narrator, who accidentally finds his way into a subterranean world occupied by beings who seem to resemble angels and call themselves Frillia. The hero soon discovers that the Frillia are descendants of an antediluvian civilization who live in networks of subterranean caverns linked by tunnels. It is a technologically supported utopia, chief among their tools being the all-permeating fluid called Frill, a latent source of energy that its spiritually elevated hosts are able to master through training of their will, to a degree which depends upon their hereditary constitution, giving them access to an extraordinary force that can be controlled at will. The powers of the will include the ability to heal, change, and destroy beings and things. The destructive powers in particular are awesomely powerful, allowing a few young Frillia children to wipe out entire cities if necessary. It is also suggested that the Frillia are fully telepathic. Registered sign. Significantly, Lytton also described the Frillia as possessing airboats that could direct the Frill force as a destructive energy beam over a distance of 600 miles. I should say, however, that this people have invented certain tubes by which the Frill fluid can be conducted towards the object it is meant to destroy, throughout a distance almost indefinite, at least I put it modestly when I say from 500 to 600 miles. And their mathematical science as applied to such purpose is so nicely accurate that on the report of some observer in an airboat, any member of the Frill department can estimate unerringly the nature of intervening obstacles, the height to which the projectile instrument should be raised, and the extent to which it should be charged so as to reduce to ashes within a space of time too short for me to venture to specify it, a capital twice as fast as London. What Bulwer-Lytton is referring to here in modern terms appears to be an aircraft equipped with a directed energy weapon whose destructive capability exceeds the combined atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Ominously, Lytton's book carried with it the warning that in the future, the surplus population of the subterranean Frillia civilization were destined to emerge on the Earth's surface. Through their advanced psychic powers and technologies, they would wipe out inferior or barbaric races in order to claim suitable territories. Those races which could sufficiently evolve in developing their inherent psychic abilities and technologies would become suitable partners for the emerging Frillia who would inevitably establish global domination. While Lytton's book was published as a work of fiction, many occultists widely viewed it as factually based, and derived from ancient texts describing one or more hidden antediluvian civilizations. Lytton's status as a prominent member of the Rosicrucian Society, which has secretly studied ancient texts and encouraged members to develop higher consciousness and occult abilities, no doubt influenced widespread belief in the factual accuracy of Frill, the coming race. Those who had developed such inherent psychic abilities would not only possess great power and rise to leadership positions, but would also be able to find and use incredibly advanced technologies hidden all over the planet. Some of these hidden technologies involved detailed designs of craft capable of space travel, which Thule Society members believed had first been developed by the ancient Hyperborean civilization. Importantly, these technologies were used by the hidden civilizations in the Earth's interior who were destined to emerge one day on the planet's surface. In order to understand the role of the Thule Society in the creation of the Nazi Party and its evolution, a vital book to reference is The Morning of the Magicians by French authors Louis Pauls and Jacques Bergier. They point out in the beginning that Thule Society members believed that not all the secrets of Thule had perished. Beings intermediate between man and other intelligent beings from beyond would place at the disposal of the initiates a reservoir of forces which could be drawn on to enable Germany to dominate the world again and be the cradle of the race of supermen which would result from mutations of the human species. One day her legions would set out to annihilate everything that had stood in the way of the spiritual destiny of the earth, and their leaders would be men who knew everything, deriving their strength from the very foundation head of energy and guided by the great ones of the ancient world. Consequently, Thule Society members deemed it critical to establish an alliance with the inner earth, Hyperborean, beings who were destined to emerge in force upon the planet's surface. Alliances could be formed with the master of the world or the king of fear who reigns over a city hidden somewhere in the east. Those who conclude a pact will change the surface of the earth and endow the human adventure with a new meaning for many thousands of years. The world will change, the lords will emerge from the center of the earth. Unless we have made an alliance with them and become lords ourselves, we shall find ourselves among the slaves, on the dung heap that will nourish the roots of the new cities that will arise. This led to Pauls and Bergier's pivotal conclusion that the Thiel Society took on its true character as a society of initiates in communion with the invisible and became the magic center of the Nazi movement. In short, they considered the Thiel Society to be the secret directing agent of the Third Reich. The Thiel Society enthusiastically supported Orsic and the group of young ladies she gathered around herself in Munich who were also psychically gifted. This is the period when Orsic created the Altgesellschaft für Metaphysik Pan-German Society for Metaphysics, that was later renamed the Frill Society, Society of Freilehren and Women. For another name change apparently occurred in 1941 when Hitler outlawed secret societies. Orsic registered the society as a business, named Antriebstechnische Werkstätten für Propulsion Workshops. These psychically gifted women dedicated themselves to developing techniques for communicating with otherworldly beings, and learned how to harness the Frill force for psychic purposes and spaceflight. Orsic herself was deeply dedicated to promoting greater awareness of humanity's latent spiritual potential and cosmic connections. James and Suzanne Poole described the importance of maintaining pure Germanic bloodlines for Thiel Society members whose primary task was to rediscover the glories of the ancient Hyperborean civilization established by their distant ancestors. Only those who could prove their racial purity for at least 3 generations were admitted to this organization, whose motto was, "Remember that you are a German. Keep your blood pure." Like many other Völkisch, racial, nationalist movements in Germany, the ostensible objective of the Thiel Society was the establishment of a pan-Germanic state of unsurpassed power and grandeur. Other German secret societies like the Die Herren vom Skorzenstein, the Lords of the Black Stone, shared similar esoteric beliefs and therefore backed Orsic's exotic spacecraft development program. The necessary funding and scientific expertise were subsequently found to cultivate the first working prototypes based on the designs received by Orsic. Professor Winfried Schumann, director of the Electrophysical Laboratory from the Technical University of Munich, 1924 to 1961, was a member of the Thiel Society and was tasked to build Orsic's first craft. 42 Schumann was an expert in high-energy plasma and high voltage electrostatics, both of which were key elements in the development of exotic propulsion systems for the proposed spacecraft. It has been documented that Schumann investigated the free energy device of the German inventor, Hans Kohler, aka Kohler. This device would eventually generate sufficient electric energy to power a submarine, and later a spacecraft. During the 1920s, the German Navy was actively researching new propulsion systems for its future generation of U-boats, which were being secretly assembled outside of Germany. In 1925, the German Navy had arranged for Schumann to evaluate the Kohler device, despite the German Patent Office rejecting Kohler's patent application. A report by a British intelligence subcommittee cites Schumann's enthusiastic support of the Kohler device as an effective means of generating a new source of energy after the present examination, carried through as carefully as possible. Must surmise that we have to face the exploitation of a new source of energy whose further developments can be of an immense importance. The apparatus was visible and accessible in all its essential parts. The inventor agreed quite willingly to each trial insofar as, according to his statement, no harm could be done to the working of the apparatus. I do not believe in a deception. I deem it expedient to put the apparatus to a further test, and I believe that a further development of the apparatus and an assistance, given to the inventor, will prove justified and of great importance. 2. It's worth noting that 3 years after Schumann had tested the Kohler device, U.S. inventor Thomas Townsend Brown was awarded a British patent for an electrographitic device that was purported to have developed a new form of propulsion. In a subsequent 1929 paper, Brown described how Einstein's efforts to develop a unified field theory had inspired him to find a fundamental connection between matter, gravity, and electricity. There is a decided tendency in the physical sciences to unify the great basic laws and to relate, by a single structure or mechanism, such individual phenomena as gravitation, electrodynamics, and even matter itself. It is found that matter and electricity are very closely related in structure. In the final analysis, matter loses its traditional individuality and becomes merely an electrical condition. In fact, it might be said that the concrete body of the universe is nothing more than an assemblage of energy which, in itself, is quite intangible. Of course, it is self-evident that matter is connected with gravitation, and it follows logically that electricity is likewise connected. These relations exist in the realm of pure energy and consequently are very basic in nature. In all reality, they constitute the true backbone of the universe. It is needless to say that the relations are not simple, and full understanding of their concepts is complicated by the outstanding lack of information and research on the real nature of gravitation. 24. It is certain that Schumann would have been aware of Townsend Brown's device, and the radical new theories that underscored it. Combining the scientific breakthroughs behind the Kohler device and the Townsend-Brown electrogravitics device, Schumann had the scientific means for building the energy and propulsion systems for future German submarines, and more. Notably, spacecraft. Figure 3. Hans Kohler Free Energy Device documentary evidence further substantiating Schumann's involvement in German research and development of exotic propulsion systems is found in a 1946 U.S. Army Air Force document that includes Schumann on a list of German scientists requested to work at Wright Field under Operation Paperclip. Taihai 2PAI 4 second page of a 3-page declassified Operation Paperclip memorandum dated June 6, 1947. This is a list of German scientists requested by the U.S. Army Air Force for classified research at its Dayton, Ohio facilities. The appearance of Schumann's name is evidence that after his debriefing in post-war Germany, his expertise in aerospace projects was deemed important for the Army Air Force's classified foreign technology research. Source: Richard Sauter, Hidden in Plain Sight, 2011. Figure 4. Professor Schumann shown as part of Operation Paperclip. Fuel Society chooses Hitler to lead a pan-Germanic workers' movement. The rise of Adolf Hitler was made possible by the Fuel Society, which secretly backed him. Prominent Fuel Society members had sponsored the creation of the German Workers' Party, espousing nationalist ideals in order to prevent the working class from falling under the influence of the rapidly growing communist movement. Unlike most other conservative nationalists, the Fuel Society was aware of the dangers presented by the widening gap between the officer class and the workers. It became one of the Society's primary objectives to bring the working man back into the national camp. Given the existing sentiments of class hostility, the Fuel program would be automatically rejected by the masses if proposed by someone of a privileged class. 44 The creation of the German Workers' Party took place on January 5, 1919, and the Fuel Society initially supported Anton Drexler to lead it as a figurehead who they would use and secretly control in order to achieve the Society's pan-Germanic, anti-Semitic and metaphysical agenda. 2. Drexler, however, lacked the organizational, oratorical and charismatic skills necessary to build up membership for a large workers' party espousing a pan-Germanic agenda. Fatefully, the necessary leader was found when a young German army spy attended one of the German Workers' Party's meetings. As the late Jim Mayers writes in his book, Rise of the Fourth Reich, it was in this setting that Hitler, a 29-year-old veteran, came into contact with members of the Fuelgesellschaft, or Fuel Society. Ostensibly an innocent reading group dedicated to the study and promotion of older German literature. But the society, composed mostly of wealthy conservatives, ardent nationalists, and anti-Semites, actually delved into radical politics, race mysticism, and the occult under its emblem, a swastika superimposed over a sword. The society also served as a front for the even more secretive Germanenorden, or German Order, a reincarnation of the old Teutonic Knights, which had branches throughout Germany patterned after Masonic lodges. It is believed that these lodges carried on the agenda of the outlawed Bavarian Illuminati, with its fundamental maxim that the end justifies the means. 2. Mayer's view that the Fuel Society was a new incarnation of the banned Bavarian Illuminati is important to keep in mind given its behind-the-scenes role in Hitler's rise to power and the emergence of the Third Reich. James and Suzanne Poole assert that Hitler would have quickly learned that the German Workers' Party was sponsored by the Fuel Society, and had agreed to work with prominent Fuel members in achieving their commonly shared pan-Germanic, anti-Semitic and metaphysical beliefs. Was Hitler aware at the time he joined that the German Workers' Party was backed by the Fuel Society? Considering Hitler's position as an army agent and his interest in nationalistic anti-Semitic politics, it is likely that he was aware of the Society's backing this new little movement called the German Workers' Party. If Hitler had such information, it would explain why he chose this small party from the many other nationalist groups which were in existence at the time. 4. Thus, the Fuel Society began supporting the German Workers' Party, which in early 1920, at Hitler's insistence, changed its name to the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or Nazi Party. The Fuel Society organized for its Munich-based newspaper, the Völkischer Beobachter, National Observer, the leading right-wing anti-Semitic paper in Bavaria. promote the new party's agenda. Point 2. The newspaper was soon handed over to the Nazi Party, which had mysteriously raised the funds to purchase it, and it henceforth became the official mouthpiece of the Nazi Party. This was a critical step in transforming the fledgling Nazi Party into a mass movement, and for introducing Hitler to a national audience. All of this was achieved through a newspaper that was first established and secretly controlled by prominent Thiel Society members, when the Thiel Society turned the Völkischer Beobachter over to the Nazi Party. It must have been specified in the deal that a Thiel member, a man, would remain in charge of the newspaper's funds and, moreover, would be appointed party business manager with control over all party money. With a man as party business manager, Eckart as editor of the party newspaper, and Rosenberg as assistant editor, the Thiel Society's involvement with the Nazis was stronger than ever. But since the basic ideology of the Thiel Society and the Nazi Party were the same, these men could be loyal Nazis as well as members of the society. It is not just vital organizational support from Thiel Society members that proved essential for Hitler's rise to power. It was also the ideas and motifs of the Thiel Society which Hitler used to appeal to a wide pan-Germanic base. According to the Poles, the symbol of the Thiel Society was the swastika. Its letterheads and literature displayed the emblem, and large swastika flags decorated its plush meeting rooms and offices. Many of the themes and slogans of the group were later repeated by Hitler almost word for word. Point 22. Thiel Society symbol swastika used by National Socialist German Workers' Party/Nazi Party. Figure 5. Thiel Society use of swastika adapted by the Nazi Party. The swastika represented the coveted Frill force and thus was a vital aspect of what the Thiel Society believed all pure-blooded Germans had to learn and master. Hitler's adoption of many Thiel Society ideas and motifs is evidence that he was himself an occultist, and even a Thiel member as claimed by historical researchers such as Trevor Ravenscroft, author of The Spear of Destiny. Point 24. In addition, Thiel Society members provided vital support to Hitler in the face of police prosecution for his outspoken nationalist views. As the Poles write, the most significant assistance he would get from the Thiel Society for the time being was protection from police prosecution thanks to Thiel members in the Bavarian government. According to the Poles, Hitler's fledgling Nazi Party would eventually outgrow its Thiel Society patron, as the German Workers' Party would begin to grow and develop under Hitler's guidance. Able and intelligent Thiel sympathizers and members would join it and be of the utmost value to Hitler. Eventually the child of the masses would outgrow its secret society parent. 24 historians largely agree that the Thiel Society backed Hitler's rise to power, but like the Poles, dismiss its long-term significance given its apparent dissolution in 1925, the same year Hitler's autobiography Mein Kampf, My Struggle, was published, notably with Thiel Society support. Similarly, Nicholas Goodrich Clark, author of The Occult Roots of Nazism, writes, the Thiel Society was dissolved around 1925 when support had dwindled. Number 2. This is where the Poles and Goodrich Clark fail to take into account the Thiel Society's behind-the-scenes role as an occult group, not a political lobby group. Rather than disappearing from the national scene and having its members absorbed by the growing Nazi Party, the Thiel Society succeeded in infiltrating Hitler's Nazi Party to place prominent members in key positions to achieve its long-term goals. As cited earlier, Pauls and Bergier saw the Thiel Society as the magic center of the Nazi movement and many additional sources point to the Thiel Society's continued existence behind the scenes as an underground, but highly powerful, organization that silently worked with and manipulated Hitler long after its apparent public dissolution in 1925.4 as a modern-day incarnation of the banned Bavarian Illuminati. Thiel Society members were very familiar with exerting influence from behind the scenes in order not to generate alarm over their hidden influence. After all, the Bavarian Illuminati had been outlawed once before due to the outcry by an alarmed public, resulting in the seizure of its property and wealth by the Bavarian government. Hitler shared the pan-Germanic, anti-Semitic and metaphysical goals of the Thiel Society, so why jeopardize them by revealing the Thiel Society's true behind-the-scenes role? Hitler was very eager to show his independence and not expose himself as an occult practitioner or follower of an aristocratically led group such as the Thiel Society. According to Ian Kershaw, author of Hitler, 1889–1936, the Thiel Society's membership list reads like a who's who of early Nazi sympathizers and leading figures in Munich, which included Rudolf Hess, Alfred Rosenberg, Hans Frank, Julius Lehmann, Gottfried Feder, Dietrich Eckart, and Karl Harrer. An even more expansive list was provided by the authors. Dietrich Bronder, before Hitler came, and E.R. Carmen, Guru Hitler, who also enumerated many Thiel Society members, some of whom rose to become powerful officials in the Nazi government: E. Baron Rudolf von Sabotendorf, Grand Master of the Order E. Guido von List, Master of the Order St. Georg Lanz von Liebenfels, Master of the Order St. Adolf Hitler, Führer, German Chancellor, SS Superior St. Rudolf Hess, Vice-Führer, and SS Obergruppenführer E. Hermann Göring, Reichsmarschall and SS Obergruppenführer St. Heinrich Himmler, Reichsführer SS and Reichsminister E. Alfred Rosenberg, Reichsminister and NS Reichsleiter E. Hans Frank, Drive. Dr. H.C., NS Reichsleiter and Governor-General of Poland St. Julius Streicher, saw Obergruppenführer and Gauleiter of Franken St. Karl Haushofer, Professor Dr., Major General Ret. St. Gottfried Vetter, Professor. Dr., Secretary of State Ret. E. Dietrich Eckart, Editor-in-Chief of the Völkischer Beobachter St. Bernhard Stempfel, Father Confessor and Confidant of Hitler E. Theo Morell, Personal Physician of Hitler St. Franz Gertner, President of the Police, Munich St. Rudolf Steiner, Founder of the Anthroposophic Teaching. E. W. O. Schumann, Professor Doctor at the Technical University Munich E. Trebist Lincoln, Occultist and Traveler to the Himalayas E. Countess Westrap Sent, and many others. And among Thiel Society members, Dietrich Eckart was of particular importance to Hitler early in his political career by providing access to powerful people willing to fund the Nazi Party. The Poles right, in light of his success, more important members of the Thiel Society began to join the German Workers' Party. One of them, Dietrich Eckart, came to exert a tremendously powerful personal influence on Hitler. He gave Hitler his first introduction to better society and, what is more important, to people who were financial backers of the Thiel Society, and for it was Eckart who made it possible for the Nazi Party to raise the necessary funds to purchase the Völkischer Beobachter newspaper, and he became its chief editor up to his death in 1923.42. Hitler dedicated the second volume of Mein Kampf to Eckart, illustrating the powerful influence this leading Thiel Society member had upon him. Another strong influence on Hitler was the retired Army general and then University of Munich professor, Karl Haushofer. His pioneering research in Japan and Asia led to many insights about ancient history, the role of the Aryan race, and understanding the mysterious Vril force. Haushofer was also a member of the Thiel Society and passed on his teachings to an enthusiastic student and Thiel member, Rudolf Hess, who became Hitler's right-hand man. It was Hess who helped Hitler in the writing of Mein Kampf, which contained many of Haushofer's seminal ideas. In 1945, after the defeat of Nazi Germany, Haushofer explained to his U.S. Army interrogators, "I was only able to influence Hitler through Hess." This was a very telling admission. Hess in reality was Hitler's handler on behalf of the Thiel Society, a role he would continue to play right up to 1941, when he was captured during his failed peace mission to Scotland. Hess was part of an orchestrated effort to reach a peace deal with a pro-German faction in the British aristocracy, which included prominent members of the royal family, many of whom had strong ties to Thiel and other secret society members within the Nazi government. German naval intelligence support of Thiel Society and Hitler. The Thiel Society had a critical institutional ally in promoting its pan-Germanic, anti-Semitic and metaphysical agenda during the years of the Weimar Republic. The German Navy, Reichsmarine, renamed Kriegsmarine during World War II. From its inception, the Thiel Society had been supported by the German Navy due to its staunch opposition to the Treaty of Versailles, advocacy of German national unity, and its commitment to rapid rearmament. The German Navy and other German nationalist organizations recognized that the Versailles Treaty had the effect of encouraging secessionist movements due to the hardships it imposed, and it conveyed the idea that breakaway states would be exempted from its onerous provisions. A breakup of Germany would remove it as a potential geopolitical rival to Britain and France for decades, and make economic revival that much harder. Towards the end of World War I, Bavaria had a powerful secessionist movement, which was supported by the